So, welcome, Jaclyn, in this podcast episode. And we just talked together right now and decided that I will let you introduce yourself and then we can discuss further on what's coming, because I was telling that I don't really have a plan for this discussion. And yeah, let's follow our intuition and let's have a powerful talk. So
Well, I'm
please.
excited for this. I'm excited for this podcast and for this episode and the fact that we don't have a plan, because this, for me, is how I always find the most powerful conversations come forward in episodes. And I have my own podcast, the Jaclyn Shaw Show, and this is how I like to operate as well. Everything I do in my business, to give you a little intro to me, is leading, guiding through the lens of energetics and truth and trust and our divine nature and our spiritual nature. And so entering a space like this where there is no agenda feels so aligned in my soul. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And actually, that's exactly what I loved when I was. So we worked together. I was you were one of my coach, and I love that the spontaneity, the raw, that you are really raw, and that you don't have taboos. You are both very vulnerable and powerful. And for me, because the title of the podcast is Becoming the One Who Has It All. And I'm playing sometimes to change the name to Be the One Who Has It All. And for sometimes it was really something that was almost difficult for me to accept, that you can be the one or want to be the one who has it all, becoming the one who has it all, and play with duality, not always be have things that the way you want them to be. And I love that you are a mom. I love that you are explaining how life is. And yeah, so for me, for example, today it was a really weird day because I had a lot of emotions coming. Maybe it was related to the discussion I know were coming today. And I was like, who am I to discuss with you? Who am I to be the one who has it all? And I think that's especially because you don't have taboos, because you are speaking with women. We show their vulnerability and yet are really powerful and have trust and faith. And that's the angle I wanted to have for our discussion today. So I don't know if it comes how it comes. I'm just
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that I want to start off sharing in this energy and hearing you, say the words a few times here, like becoming the one that has it all and being the one that has it all. One thing that has been so true for me on my journey is I'm also willing to experience it all.
mm,
And so I think this is really important, because when we say like be the one to have it all, there's oftentimes we're like, well, I want all the good, but I don't want any of the feeling of failure or sadness or pain. And for me, the journey that I feel like we're all here to really embrace is like, can I be here for the full human experience? Like, I lead so many conversations around like truth at a soul level, and truth at a soul level is we chose to come into this human experience, and we are human and we are divine beings. We are human beings and divine beings. And so not trying to like almost bypass the human experience in the sense of like only wanting certain experiences. It's, for me, it's like I can lead in truth and with power and pleasure and all of it, and attract, I would say, more of what I want and more of what I desire, because I'm not trying to avoid the human experience. I'm not trying to avoid the pain. I'm not trying to avoid the failure that, we do experience along the human journey.
yeah, I totally see what you mean. And that's something that I was really drawn to you when I knew that you were a protector, and I'm a line 3-5 in human design. And that's exactly what you just explained. We are here to experiment, and especially in my life, in my in me being a human being, I experienced so much things that sometimes, and from my perspective, or also from the outside world, there is a lot of failure because there is a lot of experiences coming along, and it's so easy to forget that that you can't experience and always have good always have success or good experiences. And actually, for me, it's also a way to see that, okay, if we don't experience, we don't know what's good for us, or we don't know what we want in life. And yeah, so it resonates.
And I feel like
And,
oftentimes as humans like try to like again avoid the experience, but within avoiding the experience, it's like we also avoid like whatever comes along with that experience. And so when I say that, like you're a 3-5 in your human design, I'm a 4-6. So I share and lead a lot through my lived wisdom and my lived experiences. So I have to be willing to have the experience to then have the wisdom from as well. And one thing that I love to say is that I get paid, like God signs the paychecks. I get paid for how much I'm willing to like live and love. And that for me means being willing to like open my heart, being willing to be vulnerable, being willing for people to not get me, being willing to speak in the frequency of truth and the frequency of love, and being willing to like live my life and being willing to, not sacrifice. And at the same time, being willing to live and be, again, just available for all the experiences of life.
mm. Can you tell us more about when people don't get you, or what do you do with that? Or is that something that don't bother you at all? How do you integrate that in your life?
So it was a while ago that I really like these words came through for me and I've really held on to them. And it's that your experience of me is none of my business. And I can care about you, but I can also detach from your experience of me. And what this represents and means to me is if I'm operating, and this works when I'm operating in my truth and when I'm operating in integrity. If I'm trying to manipulate the energetics of things, well, then your experience of me is my business because I'm stepping outside of my power, my truth, my alignment. But when I say your experience of me is none of my business, it's when I'm operating in truth, like I'm on my human journey, my soul journey, you're on your human journey, your soul journey. We're at different points in our journeys. And so we're not meant to be looking from the same lens. We're not meant to like feel the same things, get the same things all the time. And so I don't need my truth to be your truth. I allow multiple truths to coexist. And so because I'm willing to be the expression of who I am, I'm willing to allow you to be the expression of who you are. And so I don't need to get you, you don't need to get me. In fact, if I share something, even on this podcast today, that you feel or somebody listening feels like that's not my truth, well, either way, through me speaking my truth, you've been led to your own inner truth. And for me, this is what, like, why I do what I do. I want you to go to the sacred wisdom within you, that remembrance, that truth within you, your truth above anyone else's, your truth above my truth.
Ah, that's really powerful. I love it. Yeah.
And it shifts, right? If I need you to get me, I'm going to shift the words that I use. I'm going to shift how I say things. I'm going to shift how I show up because I'm going to put you getting me as the priority, whereas I put me being the full expression of who I am as the priority. That's the leading energy. And then I can trust that the people that are finding me and interacting with me, like I can trust that we're being brought into these conversations together for a reason.
Mm, so true. And for me, you're someone who has it all because you are following your intuition. You are highly spiritual. You trust every experience you have in life. Can you tell us more about your past to this point of to this place, or was it for you difficult, or was it something that you always knew was there?
I would say yes and no in the sense of if I always knew it was there. Like I have always, I would say, had this like belief, this knowing that that like life is working out for me, that things are happening in my favor, even in the moments where it felt like it wasn't. Like I've had, and I didn't always use the word God, but for now, like now that's like the truth for me. And it's like I always had this truth and this belief that God was conspiring in my favor, because I also feel like I've also been always been conspiring in my favor, like following the soul nudges, as an example. Now, when I say always, there are definitely like big periods in time where I got lost on the journey, where I got lost in my own journey. So when I say always, I mean it was there as a child, and then I lost, like, then I forgot, and then it came back. So there's it's always felt underlying for me, but there's definitely been times that I've forgotten. And where things really powerfully started to shift for me was when I realized, like, I get to choose. So, trust, for example, trusting that God's conspiring in my favor, trusting in what's happening within me, outside of me, trust became a choice. It wasn't like I had evidence in trusting in myself, evidence in trusting in other people, evidence in trusting in God that allowed me to trust. I started to trust because I chose to have the experience of trust. I didn't want to live a human experience where I wasn't willing to trust.
Mm.
And
And I
so
love
once,
that it's yeah.
no, I was just gonna say, so once I really recognized, like, this is where things felt at a whole different level for me, when I was like, I choose, I decide.
Yeah. And I think most of the time, I mean, I've seen it a lot from my clients also, and manchmal for myself also. That's the power of the decision. That it all starts with the decision to trust, the decision to change, to work on your emotion, the decision to believe that there is something good happening from any experience. And yeah.
And like, trust me, I've had a lot of experiences. Sorry, like cough there. I've had experiences that don't feel like pleasurable and pleasant in life. And in hindsight, especially, like I can see how it was serving the agenda of my soul. And I just finished writing a book of an experience that I call my spiritual smackdown from 8 years ago. And it's in the stage where it's not available or public available to read yet, but it's in the like, I just completed writing it and sharing that here, because it's an experience where I really went through looking the lens of how I was operating from the place of victimhood and seeing myself as a victim and shifting that frequency. And so there's within each human experience we have, I do deeply believe that we have the power to choose and to be the creator and to choose what comes next, when we don't let a certain experience define us, when we don't allow our past to define what comes next.
Yeah. Just before the meeting, I drew a tarot card, and it was really on the theme. I, as I told you, I wasn't feeling well today, so I was like a bit apprehensive of the discussion that we have. And I drew the card, and in the card, it was when you follow your heart and when you follow your vision, and you have to allow yourself to be a visionary and to broadcast good news, to broadcast how things can work. And for me it really makes sense also in this discussion, but because that's it's exactly what I look for when I'm with you, or what I look for in life. People showing me that they can follow their truth, they can follow their heart, they can do what they think is really important to them. And I love that you're sharing that in your book, and tell us more about the book.
Well, I love this concept too, and like what you just shared there, like, like being the visionary. And I think where people often get stuck in owning, like, I believe that we're all visionaries. And when we all follow like that truth within us, that sacred wisdom within us, and like are willing to take like each next step and allowing more to be revealed, like, I think people get stuck because they're like, okay, to be a visionary, you have to have this like solid vision, and you have to know how you're going to get there and and it's got to make sense. I often say that I'm a visionary without a vision. because my vision gets revealed to me. Like I'm a visionary, like, and I hold the like bigger context of, I believe that like I'm here to lead people in being the fullest expression of themselves and activating their voice and activating their truth and activating their trust. And I just keep taking each next step towards, being the creator of that vision and that evidence. But I don't have like the pathway. I don't have everything laid out, but I follow my truth. I speak my truth. I write the book because I feel called to write the book. I start the podcast because I feel called to start the podcast. I put the offer out there because, do you know what I mean? So everything
Yeah.
I do is from this place of like one step and then the next and allowing things to be revealed. It's not from my human mind controlling it and figuring it out. And when I've done this in the past, when I've operated and grown businesses from my like the mind level, there always felt like there was a limitation
Yeah.
because I couldn't grow beyond what my mind could figure out. And so becoming a visionary without a vision is what became really powerful for me.
I love that because it takes the pressure away of having the clear vision and always have a plan. And actually, it's contradictory with the inspired action or following the intuition. I love that. And I have a question regarding, because if you have a vision, if you're a visionary without a vision, how do you deal with the fear of I do things without to know exactly what will happen for my vision, if it will work or not? I know that actually I consider myself as a courageous person because I have a lot of fears, and I have to go with my fears. I take them with the hand. How is it for you? Is it something that you also experience, or is it something like now you are at a stage where it doesn't bother you anymore?
I would say that the biggest thing is I actually shifted my fear of the unknown. And so before, like the realm of the unknown was the thing that brought in a lot of the fear for me. It was like, okay, so I don't know. That means I'm like, have to like be out of like the human control. I have to let go and let God. I've got to be willing to surrender. Like if I don't know, it's like I've got to trust so deeply in myself. I've got to trust so deeply in the soul nudges. But what I started to realize is that as I shifted this, as I started to see the unknown as a place, before seeing it as a place where fear came in, it's like, what if that, like the unknown is where my soul like gets to fully come alive? What if the unknown is where all the magic and the miracles exist? And this has been my experience. It's when I don't know, when I'm in the realm of the unknown, well, that's when like God gets to deliver. That's when like when I'm willing to be out of the human mind and the human control, like things can appear that are better than what I could have possibly created because I was looking through the lens of like my limited human eyes. And so I really shifted what I felt in the moments of being in that realm of the unknown. And I started, I remember these words really coming through for me. It's like I held on to this energy that was like, I'm so certain that everything is uncertain. And that felt like it created like, I want to say like almost safety for me. It's like, I'm so certain that everything is uncertain. And so if everything is uncertain, how can I feel the expansion in that versus the contraction in that? Meaning if I don't know what comes next, instead of contracting within that, instead of fearing the worst, what if that means like all is possible? What if that means, other words that I say all the time, I literally have them inscribed in one of my hats is like, all exists because you exist. So if I don't know, well, that means all is available here.
Mm.
See how that energy feels expansive, like my soul comes alive when I think of the unknown in that way versus like, I don't know, I'm not certain. That should create fear. It creates the opposite for me now. Excitement,
Beautiful.
energy, feeling of alive.
Beautiful.
And I think within that, and this feels like separate than what we're just talking about, but it keeps coming forward to share with you. Really, one thing that I intentionally really try to bring forward for myself is to operate from the frequency of now. So not, what happened yesterday, not what not moving into the worry, the fear, or the prediction of the future, but like what right now? Can I take radical self-responsibility? Can I take full ownership for the thoughts, the beliefs, the actions, the movement right now? One thing that I saw looking back in hindsight, it took me 8 years to write this book. And it's funny that I say 8 years because I started like I literally started like the first time I picked up the pen was 8 years ago to write a book like with this title and about this experience. And then I put it down. And then about 4 years ago, picked up the pen again and then put it down. And then in April of last year, so now we're talking like what, like 9, 10 months ago, picked up a pen again, dabbled with putting it down and picking it up over the last like 10 months. And so while I say it took me 8 years to write this book, I also really wrote this book in 3 weeks. Once I came here, I landed in Costa Rica on January 7th of this year, 2025. I started to write, like really write the book when I was here, and I submitted it on my 44th birthday, which was January 30th. So really took me 8 years, but really 3 weeks to write this book. And why I'm sharing these details on this timeline with you in such a detail is it wasn't until January 7th of this year that I decided that I was a writer. So for 8 years, I was trying to write a book while at the same time telling myself I'm not a writer, telling myself that I could share part of the story, but someone else was going to need to like be the ghostwriter or do this. So I kept trying to write a book while telling myself I wasn't a writer. And then I started writing and I read my writing and I was like, my writing is powerful. And I didn't write in the order that you would write a book. I sat outside and wrote pieces of paper. I literally then printed off all the pieces of paper, cut and pasted them, put them into an order that felt like it flowed as somebody could read it as a book. I didn't write in the way I thought you should write a book or people traditionally write books, but I allowed the words that I wrote almost to be like transformed into a book. But first I had to own that I was a writer. This feels in connection, like I said, separate, but also into connection. Like I owned that I'm a visionary, but I owned that I'm a visionary, not in the way I thought I needed to be a visionary. I thought being a visionary meant I had to have the vision and the steps and the plan and the knowing. And it's like, I owned that I was a visionary. I stepped into the energy of a visionary. I owned that I was a writer. I was then able to write a book, but I couldn't write a book because I kept telling myself I wasn't a writer. I couldn't be a visionary when I said I'm not a visionary because I don't have a plan.
Really powerful. Really powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
We do that, you know what I mean? Like we do this in all different ways. We like let the story like run wild and we tell ourselves and we tell ourselves and we tell ourselves and you know, I've had experiences of people tell me that they don't like the way I write or that I don't, you know what I mean? I had experiences when I was a child that was like, I'm not creative because of the way that I drew in art class was a certain, you know, not what they wanted, whatever it is. Like we have these stories and these coding and these memories that we start to identify with of what we are and what we aren't. We choose. Like I choose that I'm a visionary. I choose that I'm a writer. I choose trust, like we talked about before. Like I get to choose. I set the stage. I invite God to meet me where I set the stage, what I decide to create, what I decide to be.
It's so powerful, and I think that's really something I feel is one of my work on earth. It's really sharing with a lot of women and sharing your experience, my experience, and other experiences to show other women that everything is possible and there is no way to do things. There is no way to, no path to copy or to follow, that you can be you. And if you're not authentic, if you are not you, then you are in the dream of someone else, and it's not you. And I think it's so important to be a role model and to show other women that they can do it the way they want to have it. And yeah,
I mean,
that's for me.
like that's my dream for women to know. That's my dream for people to know, like, you get to do it your way. Like there is no other way for you. Like my way isn't meant to be your way. Like your way is meant to be your way. And so giving women permission to be unapologetically who they are, listening to that sacred wisdom within you, following your soul nudges. Like you and I are going to experience life differently. And so don't follow my way, follow your way. And this for me is like the beauty and the power of mentorship spaces. Like I can guide you, I can lead you, I can share my lived wisdom. You get to share, you know, your experiences and through your exploring, but we're here guiding, not do as I say, and then you'll have this result. It's like my desire is always to take women back into their own sense of self and that truth within them and the God within them.
Yeah. And that's really powerful because when I started my path in personal development, I mean, as a kid, I was very spiritual, and I can remember really entering connection with the universe, with the stars, really something really powerful. And then I lost it. And after my 40s, I had a burnout. I was not aligned with what I wanted to do, and I started to go on the personal development path, and I fall into the trap to really I wanted the secret, the secret sauce. I wanted the shortcut. I wanted that someone tell me, okay, if you do that, you will get exactly where you want to, and you will have your vision and your life mission and something like that. And it's only recently that I understood. Oh, okay, no, there is no secret. There is no one can tell me what's good for me. No one can tell me how my life is supposed to be, and I'm the only one to. Oh, I moved. I'm the only one to be able to discover myself, to talk for myself, and I think that's a message that a lot of women need to hear, and need to understand that, okay, I can at any time take the decision to reconnect to my heart. And I really love that you are the fullest expression of 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 that. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I feel like I had a similar experience, and honestly, it was one soul sucking, and it did shut down my voice. Like there was like a couple of years where I literally felt like I had this golf ball in my throat where I couldn't fully speak my truth. And what had happened was I entered the online industry. I entered the coaching and mentorship industry, and I say when I describe how I entered this world, it's like I fell into it. Like I feel like I fell into the coaching industry because I didn't even know it existed. And then someone had asked me, like, because of, my experience that I grow into other business, they're like, why aren't you like coaching? And I was like, well, what is that? And I was like, wait a second, I can show up and have these conversations and leave people and like get paid for that. Like that can be my business. And she was like, yes, absolutely. And I was like, it just felt expansive. It felt like, wow, it felt like pinch me moments every time a client was like choosing me. I was like, that's what it felt like. It's like, oh my gosh, they're choosing me, and we get to have these conversations and we get to lead. And I was just being who I was. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to lead a conversation on wealth and abundance. Like, and I just felt like everything felt expansive and get to, and it felt good. And I had a lot of success when I first started my business, like right off the bat, like a lot of success. And then it was like, well, in order to scale, you have to do this. And so I hired a coach, and I was like, similar to what you said, I was just like, okay, didn't even feel like give me the shortcut, but it was just like, you know what to do, and I don't. Tell me what to do because I just know how to be who I am. And that's worked so far. But I was like, that's all I know how to do. And so for this in my brain to make sense and to be a business, like I need to know how to scale it. That I don't know how to do. So I'll just hire you and you'll tell me exactly what to do and I'll do it. And I hired a person and I did exactly what they said. And guess what? It worked. This was like the thing is it worked. And so then I was like, oh, she knows and I don't. My voice is the way that I express myself is wrong. And I should write this way. And I should do Facebook ads this way. And I should write social media posts this way because this is right. And after operating my business, I'm going to say for almost a year that way, maybe 9 months, I was like, if this is what life and business looks like going forward, I'm out. Even though it was successful, even though it was working, I felt like it was draining me. I felt like it was sucking my soul. I felt like it was no longer in the truth. I no longer felt what I felt in the beginning of like, oh my gosh, and I get to and pinch me moments. It felt like no, no more. And I burnt that business to the ground. And I was like, the programs, the things, like everything went away because not because I needed to burn it to the ground, but because there was all the elements in there of building not in alignment with my true self, like not in energetic alignment, not following my soul. And so then I scrapped everything. And the words that I used at the time were like, I'm just only willing to build from energetic alignment. And I started to find my voice again. I mean, again, like I said, it was like 2 years of this feeling this golf ball in my throat. And so it took a while of like really coming in and owning my voice and being willing to like share my medicine and share my truth and share who I am and share my thoughts and my lived wisdom and my experience and what I know to be true. And when I owned this, I mean, everything. I thought I had experienced success before, like I experienced success at a whole new level, and it felt good. And I felt like I was really helping people, and I felt like I was bringing women into a place where they get to be the truth of who they are as well. And so everything then felt like, I'm gonna still use the word scalable that I said before, but it felt like scalable, sustainable, because it's like I can have these conversations like all day, every day. I can lead these conversations in my sleep because they feel so deeply rooted in my truth and who I am.
Yeah.
But when I thought like somebody else had the way, somebody else had the answer, I did things and chose things that ultimately, again, just like sucked me dry. I'm gonna say like sucked that soul, that life force energy out of me.
Mhm. But then a question that is coming to me is that when you, I mean, I'm doing the same as a coach. I reconnect people with their intuition. So why is it you think that people need us actually? Because it should be something that comes naturally. And sometimes I'm really reflect on okay, why is it that the society, I don't know. Um,
I know exactly what you're saying here. And I actually just led a call this morning and I started off the call saying like it was about harnessing your personal power and taking radical self-responsibility, coming back into trust of self. And I said, this is easy in one sense because you're just like bringing forth your natural state. Like we naturally are powerful. We're naturally intuitive. And so you're coming back into that space. And it's also hard because we've forgotten who we are. It's also hard because we have a whole lifetime of stories and evidence and conditioning that tells us otherwise. And so maybe there will be a day where, I mean, I don't really think so, but maybe, like probably way beyond my lifetime, there will be a day where mentorship isn't as powerful as it is now because people are going to remember from a younger age. They're not going to have all this like conditioning and stories that are, I'm going to say, working against us in a sense. Um, I mean, I hope that day exists. And why the power of the mentorship and the coaching industry, I feel, is when we're looking through the lens of I'm guiding you back into your intuition, I'm guiding you back into your soul truth because you've forgotten and not making that mean anything that you've forgotten. I've forgotten. We all forget. I will continue to have moments where I forget who I am as a divine creator on my journey. And so that mentorship, having someone here walking with me, guiding with me, like it just feels powerful. It feels like, oh yeah, when I forget, you're there to remind me as well. And to be honest, one of the things that I find the most powerful about the mentorship industry is me showing up to lead others. Like it's a gift for me. I receive just as much as they receive because when I show up to lead others, I'm showing up as the truth of who I am. I'm in deep remembrance of who I am, who we all are. And then when I'm mentoring someone and they remember who they are and they show up and they speak their truth, like every time they lead, every time they remember, like they're doing it for them as well as for the other people. So we're serving self and serving others and serving God and allowing God to serve us all in the same moment. That to me is the power. That to me is the why of this industry. Not because you can't without me, but when we do it together, when there's this, I remind you and you remind me, and my truth sparks your truth and your truth sparks my truth. And we collectively come into this deeper divine remembrance. And storytelling. Let's look at storytelling. You know, we talked about you as a line 3, sharing through your experiences, me as a line 6, sharing through my lived wisdom. Like codes and remembrance has been passed down through storytelling for like all of eternity. I'm going to say, like learning, remembering through other people's experiences, like that to me, it's such a beautiful way. But this is why I think there's such a shift, well, that I tend to see. Maybe it's in the spaces that I choose to put myself in, that there's a shift from I see the shift happening from a like, let me teach you how to do and let me teach you like just follow the step by step of like what I chose before into let me guide you in the way that we're talking now.
and maybe a last question from my part. I've been in a position where I had really fears and difficulties to remember. Okay, I trust. I everything happens for me, and I see that also, of course, with other women, and I'm following, for example, some affirmations, some activations. They are wonderful, the activations that you make, and sometimes I feel into this fear again that oh my god, it's working for everyone except for me, and it's really weird because in a sense I know it's powerful, I know, and despite this knowledge and despite the fact that I'm relatively good connected to my heart, I still have these feelings like, no, it's not working for me.
This
And
for
you
me Yeah, this for me tends to happen, like, where I see this often happening for people is when they need their mind to get what they're already like, what their soul already knows. And so if we can drop the need for our mind to understand it. So, for example, like, the power of my activations, like, the whole energy in the activations I lead is that they're meant to transcend the human mind. And so it already is working. Like, it's already working. It's shifting things energetically. Like, your job is to surrender, to release, to let go. But then if it's like, okay, but then I have to go to my mind to make sure it's working, to figure out if it's working, we bring it back into that level of the mind. We try to bring in like that, like, human control into it. And so, like, can I be willing for my mind to not get it? Is for me is like the power here. Like, can I be willing to not figure it out and trust in the energy that I feel, the shift, the movement?
I love that. So not wanting the mind to understand what's happening, just relax and say, okay, I don't have I don't have to understand how it works.
Yeah. Because the thing is that there's things that we experience and know at a soul level that our mind was never meant to get in the first place. And so it's like not needing to bring the soul level experiences into like the human comprehension, I'm gonna say.
I see.
Like, I can trust in what my mind doesn't yet get or understand. And oftentimes I feel like this is when we look back in hindsight, then our mind starts to get it. But it's like, can I just allow my mind? Like, can I just follow this one that just trust in? If I come into an activation and I'm clearing energy and I feel it, can I trust in that energy's been cleared? I don't need to know how it happened. Can I trust in the activation I feel? Like, again, coming in and choosing that trust without your mind getting it, without having the evidence, without having the proof.
Mm. So in short, you're telling me I don't have to notice a change. I have just to trust that a change is happening inside of me or at a soul level, and I don't have to get it at my human mind level.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
like this for me is the um it- like, you're called into like spaces, you're called into like the activations, let's say, for a reason. And so trusting in, like, you're receiving at a subconscious level, you're receiving at a soul level, you're receiving at a human level. And before the understanding comes in, like, you're receiving. And so being open, like opening yourself up to receiving more and more and more without, again, that need to get it. Because that need to get it is usually rooted in like the need to control something.
Mm. And I said it was the last question, but I have a question popping up right now. It's your book is coming soon, um, and I can't wait to read it. And what do you recommend also? Like, what are the books you love and that really impacted your path or led you to trust more, have more faith, or connect with your heart? What would you recommend?
So my, like, definitely for me has been the Conversations with God series. And Neil Donald Walsh has written many books, like I think something like 40 books. But for me, especially like the books titled Conversations with God, book 1, 2, 3, and 4, as well as Home with God, have been like the most powerful from him. Um, I've also embarked on a personal mentorship journey with Neil. He's writing the forward for my book. Like, those books, just to share, like, they have been life changing for me. A few other books. I mean, the first spiritual book I ever read was A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. Like that opened the gateway for me. So I often will share that with people. And then two other books that were created a lot of transformation for me were Mary Magdalene Revealed by Megan Watterson. The meaning, this is not the one I was going to say, but there was The Meaning of Mary Magdalene was a really big one for me as well. And The Interior Castle is one of my all-time favorites.
That's great. I haven't read any of them, so I'm eager to. Thank you.
Well, I think there was just like 7 or 8 there. And like these are books that, I mean, if you came into my house, you would see how weathered they are because there are pages flipped over. They've been read multiple times. There's highlighters, there's pen marks. Like I tend to it's so interesting because I'm a reader and I love to read, and I love to read like the same books again and again and again and again and again. When we're talking books like this, it's not like, oh, like, okay, consume and on to the next. It's like I want to, like, almost feels like I want to be able to recite that book. Like I want that book to be so just like embodied in who I know myself to be. And at the same time, as I say that, it's not because like that's the ultimate truth and that's the way. Many of my conversations with Neil start by me saying like, okay, I read this in this book and I experienced this different, or I see this different. So it's not like when I say I want to like be able to recite the book in the sense of like that holds the wisdom and I don't. It sparks this divine remembrance in me. It brings up the like, oh yeah, I can see that. And also this feels true for me and that truth feels different. And we end up having some of the most incredible conversations because I'm willing to say like my experience of what you said is a little bit different.
I love that.
And I think
I
that's
love
coming back.
this.
Oh, no.
I really love this discussion and I thank you very much for this discussion. Is there something you just want to add as a final word?
I mean, just thank you for having me. And just what I was about to say there is like, be so willing to be the truth of who you are. Be willing to express the truth of who you are. Like, again, like the power comes when we, I don't want to say like, well, question it, like question, like, I'm not just because Neil says someone and he's somebody who I've studied his work and I've chosen personal mentorship with him and he's wrote books called Conversations with God. It's like, I think why our connection between him and I, it's been so powerful. Our mentorship is so powerful. It's like, I don't feel he knows I don't. There's no like pedestal there. There's no like, oh, he's able to have a conversation with God and I'm not. It's like coming in where it just feels like truth meets truth and power meets power and love meets love, and really bringing that forward. Like that only gets to come from within you. And so looking where we place power outside ourselves, come back to the power within, the trust within, the love within, the magic within, the medicine within, the God within.
I love that.
Thank you
So much.
Yeah, this conversation has been so beautiful and so powerful. So thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you too. And yeah, I hope I see you soon.